Okay, so the Brielle seems to be a complicated romper, but I promise you, you're going to love it once you do it a few times. So for our halter skirted Brielle, we're going to start with two front top pieces. Okay, so you're going to find a piece that looks similar to this. It'll say front bodice, lining required. So for ours, we're going to cut on the dotted line on the bottom, and then on the shoulder seams and around the neck, all of the dotted line. You're going to cut two of those, a main and a lining. Now for our back, you're going to find the back that says strap back bodice, lining required. And for our halter um, skirted Brielle, we're going to cut on the dotted line again. You don't necessarily need the notches for the halter one, so you don't have to cut those if you don't want to. But you're going to cut two of these, a main and a liner. Then we're going to find our straps. You're going to want two straps of this longer strap. It's for the halter and the tie straps. The other one is for like the crossback. So we're going to want two of the long straps. I usually make mine about an inch longer than what the pattern has, just for a little more room to tie for, bigger babies and stuff. Now for the bottoms, we're going to cut on that dotted line at the waist, and then you can choose which length you want. I'm doing the basic rise, and you're just going to cut on that dotted line, the little bitty dotted line, or you can do bummy, or shorty, or mid-thigh. So that's just personal preference. You'll need one of these. And then for the back bottom, you'll need one of these in the same length that you cut, and we're going to cut on this dotted line again. Now for the skirt piece, you're going to need two of these, and you can choose whichever length you would like. It doesn't matter. I'm using this shorter length, but it's just personal preference. Just make sure you have two of these pieces. Okay, so this is all the pattern pieces that you should have. You should have two skirts, a front and a back. You should have two backs, a main and a liner, two fronts, a main and a liner, two leg bands, a front piece for the bottom, a back piece for the bottom, and then your two halter straps. Personally, I like to clip everything that I'm going to sew first. So I'm going to fold my halter straps in half this way, right sides together, and we're going to sew down this seam. You're going to do that for both of those. Then we're going to take our bottoms and put our front on top of our back, right sides together, and we're going to clip down this side, and the crotch. You can use more or less clips than I do. It doesn't really matter. I typically don't clip these, so I'm just going to throw a couple on there just for the video. Okay. Now for your leg bands, you're going to fold them in half this way. Oops. Cut that very good. You're going to fold them in half this way, and you're going to sew or serge down this side for both of them. Now for your back, you're going to want to make sure that it's a little bit bigger on the top than it is on the bottom. It kind of slants down. So you want to make sure you find that bigger side, and that's going to be your top. And we're going to lay them right sides together. And that's if you didn't notch. If you did notch, you'll be able to tell which is the top a little bit easier. You can see on my main fabric, I did put the notches on there. And you're going to sew or serge across this top edge, just like that, across there. And then for the top, you're going to put your front, main, and liner right sides together. And you're going to leave this part open. So we're going to serge here and across the neck, but leaving this part open for the straps. So I'm just going to clip these together. And now for our skirt. We're just going to put our two skirt pieces right sides together and serge across this seam on both sides. Now I'm going to take all of these pieces to the serger and do them at once. It makes it a little bit faster. I'm going to start with my top piece. I'm going to start on this arm with my front main and liners together. I sew down like that so that my top is still going to be open where those straps go. So I'm going to kind of pull this over and go down the neck. So there's my neck. And I'm going to do this other arm. So it should look like this, with these two pieces open still for the straps. We're going to grab our halter straps and we're just going to take one edge of these and sew down this part. So I just stick it under my machine and sew. And you can tie off your ends. I usually just singe mine. So they should look like this, with one side open and one side sewn shut. I'm going to singe these with my lighter and I'll be right back. Now we're going to take this turning tool, or any turning tool you have, it don't have to be the specific one, and you're going to turn these straps right sides out. Now this is what your pieces should look like: your skirt, your bottoms, your two leg bands, your two straps, your back, and your front. So I'm going to set the front pieces to the side for now. I like to finish or to start with the bottoms. So if you've ever made a bummy before, you're going to do this just like you do the bummy bands. I take mine and half them. You can quarter them if you'd like. Okay, so I do put my seam toward the crotch, so it's not really seen if it's not lined up perfectly. You're going to want to make sure if you have a directional print, that your print's going the right direction. You're just going to clip these on. And now we're going to serge in a circle around the two legs, and we'll be right back. Here's how your bottom should look after you have the bands on the legs. So now we're going to take our skirt and we're going to go wrong side to right side. So you're just going to put it over the top of it, basically. So wrong side, right side. It's just going to look like this. So I'm going to clip on all the corners. And this is not how everybody does it, but this is the way I find it easiest to do. I'm going to find my back. I'm going to go ahead and put my tag in. I get my tags and my custom printed fabric from MLA, and this Urban is from Milan Fabrics. I'm just going to find my center of my back. Usually just eyeball it. Clip it, and then I put my tag in. You can put a clip on the front side too if you'd like, but I'm not going to. And then you're just going to serge around this top part, get your bottom, your skirt, and your tag, and serge in a circle. That way it holds your layers together. Now it should look like this. You have your bottoms underneath, you've serged around the top, and your tags in. And we're going to set this to the side for now and grab our front pieces. So you're going to take the front, and I use a bodkin tool, and I find my seam, and I kind of make it in the middle, just so it looks a little more professional. And I stick my bodkin on the top of it like this. And then you're going to open this up. I usually put the back towards me because I put my seam facing me so that I know that it's facing the liner. So you don't want your seam showing in the front. You just pull it up like this where you can kind of see it. And you'll take it out and throw a clip on it and do the other side. So once again, I'm finding my seam, putting my bodkin on there, opening up this front piece, keeping my seam facing my liner, and pulling it through just enough where we can see the strap. and throwing a clip on it. So now it should look like this with your straps in between, and we're going to serge across there to keep the straps in place. So now it should look like this. I did singe my edges so you can see that little piece right there that's black, but you won't see that because this is going to be on the inside. So now we can flip it right sides out. We're going to pull our straps out like this, make sure everything looks good. I have a little string here that I'll need to trim. Okay, so now I always tie these just to keep them out of the way because this next part, I don't want to accidentally get the strap in there. So we're going to open it up like this. Okay, and take our back piece and open it up too. We're going to lay it right sides together with the front, and you're going to want the main on the main and the liner on the liner. And we're going to clip these two seams on the sides. I always like to go underneath here and make sure they're lined up really good. We're going to clip the other side. Make sure it's lined up good. Okay. Now we're going to serge or sew down this seam and this side seam. Now you should look like this, and we're going to flip it right sides out. And I always clip my seams together because we're going to be sewing that part. So I push this one this way, and I push this one the other way so that it lays a little more flat. And then I throw a clip on there. I do the same thing with the other side. Push this seam this way. I push this one this way. Not necessary, but it makes it a little bit easier to sew. Okay. So there's your top. Now at this point, you can do a basting stitch or serge around this edge. I'm not going to because I've done this enough times that I can keep my layers together, but if you have problems keeping a bunch of layers together, I do suggest just quickly serging like we did the bottom piece around the bottom of the top. And then if you did that, you're going to want to take this little knob right here and move it up to a 6. That way it covers both of your seams for the next part. That's just a little side note. So now we're going to find our front and our back. I always lay them like this just to make sure I've got everything right. And I flip my front piece over my front bottom, and your skirt's going to be on the inside here. So here's our top, and here's our bottom, and here's our back, and here's our bottom back. So I'm going to clip the side seams. And now I'm just going to kind of stretch it and eyeball it for the middle seam, or the middle clip, because we're going to quarter it, just to keep everything lined up right. Okay, so now it should look like this, and we're just going to serge or sew in a circle, and that'll be our waist seam. Now you should look like this, and you flip it out, and you've got your skirted halter romper. I do suggest hemming the skirt. You don't necessarily have to, but it makes it look so much better. I like to do a lettuce hem, but you can also just fold it over a 1/2 inch and top stitch. But in this case, I'm going to do a lettuce hem. Thank you for watching, and if you would like any other tutorials, please leave a comment. I think I'm going to do maybe like a getting to know the Brielle pattern because it is kind of complicated and a lot of people struggle with it. But I promise you, once you learn what pieces go with what, you're going to have so much fun with it because there's so many different variations that you can do.